hear the music. Hello, everybody. I'm Ed Robinson, and welcome to another exciting edition of the League Wraparound. This is the program that gets you caught up on anything and everything happening around the NFL. Coming up on this edition of the program, we preview Week 6's most important games, including Thursday Night Football between the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks, and Monday Night Football between the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets. Plus, we have your Week 6 game picks and so much more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the program because we've got a lot to get to and some shake-ups been happening in the NFL. Never a dull moment, right? The NFL always moving, always shaking, so many storylines. And as always, before we get to top 3 storylines and also some other news that's shaking, let's get you caught up on some scores from Week 5's most important games in the NFL. Thursday Night Football saw a great one between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons in an NFC South showdown. In overtime, the Falcons would beat the Buccaneers 36-30. In the NFL International Series in London, the Minnesota Vikings would hold off to beat the New York Jets 23-17. A duel it was in Cincinnati between the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. Baltimore would win in overtime, 41-38. The Buffalo Bills took on the Houston Texans. What a great game it was down in H-Town. The Texans would go on to beat the Bills, 23-20. We also had the Cleveland Browns take on the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels showed up and showed out in more ways than one. The Commanders would go on to beat the Browns 34-13. We had the Indianapolis Colts take on the Jacksonville Jaguars in an AFC South rivalry game. Joe Flacco, he still has it. He passed for near 360 yards. But Jacksonville would hold on to win by 3, 37-34. Sunday Night Football saw the continuation of the rivalry between the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cowboys would hold on to beat the Steelers 20-17. And Monday Night Football saw the New Orleans Saints take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes did his job, but it was all about the defense as the Chiefs would hold on to beat the Saints 26-13. And those were your scores from Week 5's most important games in the NFL. I like to start off with my top 3 storylines. I like to start off talking about Robert Saleh. This week, the New York Jets fired Robert Saleh after serving as the head coach of the team for 3.5 years. Saleh's career record, 20-36. Before Saleh became the head coach of the New York Jets, he was the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. And before that, he was a position coach with the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Seattle Seahawks, and the Houston Texans. And Saleh would win a Super Bowl as a member of the Seattle Seahawks, where he served as a defensive quality control coach. There's a lot to take away from this. Aaron Rodgers. Well, first off, Saleh became the head coach of the Jets in 2021. Rodgers joined the team in 2023. During 2021 and the 2022 seasons, before Rodgers got there, Saleh dealt with quarterbacks such as Joe Flacco, Trevor Siemian, Tim Boyle, Mike White, and also Zach Wilson. The Jets, defensively, they were there, but offensively, they were not there. In comes Aaron Rodgers. So the trade is made last spring. We know what happened week 1 last year. Rodgers suffers the Achilles injury, done for the year. They go back to Zach Wilson and the cast of characters at the quarterback position. That didn't turn out so well. This year, as this show is airing, the Jets are under 500. Woody Johnson, along with his brother, they went and got Aaron Rodgers, got in the Gulfstream jet, headed to Malibu, They did everything in their power to sway him to come to the East Coast and play for New York. He had some offers out there, but they made the best offer. Aaron agreed to come to New York. And during the week, Woody Johnson spoke publicly saying that he feels that since he's been the owner of the New York Jets, this is the best team that he has put together. And they want to win right now. Rodgers, I think, could play. Rodgers says he wants to play at least another 2, maybe 3 more years. And that Super Bowl window is slowly closing. And I actually like the move. I know a lot of people are mixed about this, but they need an offensive coach. Now, the interim head coach is the defensive coordinator. His name is Jeff Ulbrich. Jeff played for several teams in the league, including the San Francisco 49ers. Will this help or will this hurt? Only time will tell, but the window is slightly open for the New York Jets. They are in a win now mode. They are in panic mode. And again, people are split on the whole Saleh situation, but I feel this was the right move. I feel like this was the right move, especially when you have a Hall of Fame first ballot quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. Say what you want about him. You may not agree with him on everything. He can be a little smug at times, but he still has the fastball. He can still deliver it. And let's face it, I mean, with Saleh gone, I think Woody Johnson, along with Joe Douglas, who's the general manager of the team, I feel that they're really going to make a play to bring Davante Adams to New York. They'll try to get a deal done with the Raiders. So Robert Saleh, after 3.5 seasons, no longer the head coach of the New York Jets. This falls on Aaron Rodgers now. The pressure is really on him now. I mean, the pressure was high the moment he got to New York. Now the pressure is going to be extremely high because now people are going to be looking at him now as like, okay, the coach is gone. Now this is on you. You got to play up to championship caliber. You got to work with the weapons that you have, like Garrett Wilson, like a Tyler Conklin. Don't forget your buddy from Green Bay, Alan Lazard. You have to make it happen. No excuses, none whatsoever. If they don't get it done on Monday night, which, by the way, the Bills and the Jets on Monday night, this will determine who will get first place in the AFC East. New England hasn't been good so far this year. Miami hasn't been good this year. We don't know what the future is going to hold for Tua Tagovailoa. All of it is up in the air, but the Bills and the Jets have an opportunity to fight for supremacy, who's going to get first place in the AFC East. Robert Saleh is no longer the head coach of the New York Jets. This falls on Aaron Rodgers. If the Jets don't get it done on Monday night, there's going to be a whole lot of questions. They're going to need a lot of answers. And maybe Robert Saleh wasn't the one that needed to go. Maybe Nathaniel Hackett. We need to pay attention to him too. He's the offensive coordinator. We need to maybe give him the side eye if the Jets don't get it done on Monday night. But nevertheless, after 3.5 seasons as the head coach of the New York Jets, Robert Saleh has been fired. My next storyline is going to be the Cowboys-Steelers rivalry. So, this past Sunday night, we were treated to another great game in the continued rivalry between the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know the names of the names in both organizations, right? The Hall of Famers. I mean, the great games, the Super Bowls that they played back in the day, and we were treated to another fantastic game. Hey, the game was delayed due to severe weather, but hey, delayed but not denied. And we were treated to a great game with Dallas winning 20-17. A lot of discrepancies in this game. The Dallas Cowboys right now, they're not a good team and they're not a great team. They're a decent team. They still have their issues running the ball. Dak Prescott, he's effective, but there's still issues with the offensive side, particularly with the running game and the pass protection. Defensively, they're all over the place right now. The injuries for Dallas, they're not good, they're not great, but they're solid right now. For the Steelers, it's a shame. They could not move the football down the field. All of the injuries that Dallas had coming into this game and even in the game on Sunday night, Justin Fields, Najee Harris, and the rest of the Steeler offense did not take advantage of their opportunities. And those were just some of the takeaways that I got from the game. Again, it was a classic game in the continued rivalry between the Cowboys and the Steelers. Dallas winning 20-17, but man, they play each other like once every 4 years or something like that. But when they play, it's always special. It brings back great memories of those Hall of Famers, and even currently with the players that are just entering their prime and making big things happen. But Cowboys and Steelers on Sunday night, that was a wild ride. And for my last storyline is going to be Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow. We were in for a treat last week with the Baltimore Ravens beating the Cincinnati Bengals in overtime 41-38. But this was great play by both quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson passed for 348 yards, had 4 touchdown passes. Joe Burrow passed for 392 yards, had 5 touchdown passes. What more could you ask for, right? We are watching 2 quarterbacks in their prime right now. Both quarterbacks different but very unique in their own way. And if you kind of look at these games, the head-to-head matchup between Burrow and Jackson, they've played each other 6 times. They've gone head-to-head against one another 6 times. And Lamar has the upper hand with 5 wins and only 1 loss. But when you think of not just Lamar and Joe, but Bengals rivalry, hey, what more could you ask for, right? I mean, Ray Lewis, Carson Palmer, Chad Ochocinco, Rod Woodson, Shannon Sharp. I mean, just the list goes on and on. Rest in peace, Chris Henry. Rest in peace, Cedric Benson, Vontaze Burfict. Hard-hitting, no nonsense. That's what I think of with Ravens-Bengals rivalry. But in this instance, this game was offense. This was a lot of offense in this game. Back and forth, Lamar and Joe going toe-to-toe. And the countless playoff games that these 2 teams have played against one another. And then also, too, the playoff game from several years ago, the wild card game. Lamar didn't play in that game. Joe Burrow played in that game, and certainly that was all about defense. But, man, it was, I mean, this is, again, I mentioned earlier about the Cowboys and Steelers rivalry. You got to put Ravens-Bengals in there as well. Just truly phenomenal, truly exciting. It's definitely a hard-hitting series, a series that puts you on the edge of your seat. Certainly something you can, always look forward to. It's not going to be a pretty game, but it's always going to be an effective game. And especially what we saw last weekend with Lamar Jackson and what Joe Burrow did. Just 2 quarterbacks going head-to-head, and we're definitely seeing both of these quarterbacks in their prime right now as we speak. And certainly these 2 gentlemen definitely have a lot more games left them in this continued rivalry between the Bengals and the Ravens. Now let's preview Week 6's most important games in the NFL. Thursday Night Football, the San Francisco 49ers going up against the Seattle Seahawks. This is a rivalry that's been intense for quite some time now. You know the names that are going to be featured in this game: Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Kenneth Walker, also Nick Bosa, Fred Warner and company. So when you think of Niners-Seahawks games, you think about intense and drama. And I believe they're going to bring a lot of that for this Thursday night affair. So for the 49ers, coming off of a tough loss off the division rival Arizona Cardinals, they're looking for retribution to get a victory against another division rival, being the Seattle Seahawks. For the Seahawks, they're trying to avenge a loss, too, over the New York Giants last week. So the 49ers and the Seahawks, what else is new, right? When these two teams get together, it's always a show. It's always hard hitting, a lot of drama, but also some touchdowns as well, and a lot of trash talking. So the NFC West rivalry game is going to continue. It continues between the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. We have the NFL International Series game between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Chicago Bears. For Jacksonville, tough win, come from behind win over the Indianapolis Colts. For the Chicago Bears, big win over the Carolina Panthers. These two teams are headed to London. You know about Jacksonville, since the NFL's been doing these international series games, specifically the games in London. Jacksonville has stayed overseas for extended periods of time, having a lot of London games every year. Trevor Lawrence, what will he do across the pond against Chicago's defense? What about head coach Doug Peterson? You know, every game is going to be important for him. His job is definitely on the line. He's on the hot seat as well. As for Chicago, Caleb Williams and DJ Moore, they're starting to find their groove. They continue to find what they need to do to keep that synergy going. How about the running back, DeAndre Swift? DeAndre Swift was on a rampage in last week's game against the Carolina Panthers. So we've got a good one across the pond in London in the NFL International Series with the Jacksonville Jaguars going up against the Chicago Bears. Also, another important game for Week 6, we have the Washington Commanders going up against the Baltimore Ravens. So I guess you could say this is the battle of the Beltway with the Commanders going up against the Ravens. Both teams play in Maryland. And this is going to be about the quarterbacks. This is going to be about Jaden Daniels going up against Lamar Jackson. So with the Ravens, big win over their rival Cincinnati Bengals last week in overtime. And Lamar Jackson did what Lamar Jackson does best, right? Creating plays, not just with his arm, but most importantly with his legs as well. The Commanders, a dominating win over the Cleveland Browns. Jaden Daniels, yeah, Jaden, strong case not only for Offensive Rookie of the Year, but maybe League MVP a little early, but you can make the case for him as a League MVP candidate. But not just Jaden Daniels, but also on the offensive side with Brian Robinson Jr., Austin Eckler, also De'Ami Brown, who's played very well. How about Scary Terry McLaurin, and Zach Ertz, who has found the fountain of youth since arriving in Washington. And on the defensive side, they're led by Bobby Wagner and also Frankie Louvu. So Commanders and Ravens, this is going to be a showdown. This is going to be a throwdown. And when it's all said and done, which quarterback will make the fewest mistakes? Will it be Jaden Daniels or will it be Lamar Jackson? This should be a great one. We have the Arizona Cardinals going up against the Green Bay Packers. So for the Cardinals, a big win over the San Francisco 49ers. Quarterback Kyler Murray made plays when necessary. Marvin Harrison Jr. was effective. And how about James Conner? James Conner ran the ball effectively in that win over the 49ers. As for the Green Bay Packers, a great win on the West Coast beating the Los Angeles Rams. When you think of Packer fans, they travel very well. And certainly the Packer fans were deep, and they showed up and they showed out on the West Coast supporting their team as they beat the Rams at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. So we've got a great one at Lambeau Field between the Cardinals and the Packers. We've got Kyler Murray going up against Jordan Love. This is going to be one for the ages. I mean, I think this is going to be another classic game that's going to be one for the ages at Lambeau Field. We have an NFC South showdown between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints. So let's start off with New Orleans for a moment. The Saints, in an oblique injury in the Monday night loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. Carr won't play in this game, so The Spencer Rattler era begins in New Orleans. Spencer Rattler, strong arm, athletic ability, can stretch plays, can keep the offense on the field for, unlimited periods of time. And Rattler's got a test going up against an NFC South rival in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay, they are steaming mad after that loss last Thursday night in overtime to the Atlanta Falcons. Baker Mayfield coming to New Orleans, along with that offense with Chris Godwin, Rachaad White, Bucky Irving, also Mike Evans and company. They're looking to get retribution as they have the second straight week in a row they'll take on a division rival. So will Baker and the Bucs get retribution and go down to New Orleans and get a victory? Or will Spencer Rattler ring in a new era for the Who Dat Nation and get a victory for the Saints? Should be an interesting one between the Buccaneers and the Saints. The Detroit Lions will take on the Dallas Cowboys. So for Dallas, not a great game statistically last Sunday night against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but as they say, it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. And Dallas finished strong. Dak Prescott throws a touchdown pass to Jalen Tolbert. As for the Lions, they had a bye week last week, but before that, an impressive Monday night win over the Seattle Seahawks. Jared Goff was perfect, flawless in that Monday night game. Jahmyr Gibbs was just a running machine out there, along with his cohort, David Montgomery. Amon-Ra St. Brown doing what Amon-Ra does best, catch passes. Not only did he catch a touchdown, he threw a touchdown pass in a Lions win over the Seahawks. So this is going to be a great one, as usual, in Arlington at Jerry World at AT&T Stadium. We got the Detroit Lions going up against the Dallas Cowboys. We have Motown going up against the Big D. And I think this is going to come down to the fourth quarter, under 5 minutes. Who's going to come up big under pressure? Will it be Jared Goff or will it be Dak Prescott? This should be a lot of fun with the Detroit Lions going up against the Dallas Cowboys. Sunday Night Football, the Cincinnati Bengals will square off against the New York Giants. So for Cincinnati, a tough win last week over their division rival Baltimore Ravens. Joe Burrow, he lit it up. 5 touchdown passes, but it just wasn't enough as Baltimore would get the victory in overtime. So the Bengals, looking to avenge that loss, they head to the Meadowlands in New Jersey at MetLife Stadium to take on a New York Giants team that has been feeling confident and feeling sure of themselves all week long. Big win over the Seattle Seahawks up in the Pacific Northwest. Daniel Jones, he was effective. A solid game from him, turned the ball over. And also, Wan'Dale Robinson played very well in the absence of Malik Neighbors, and the running game for the Giants was effective. So, the bright lights are going to be shining bright as always in New York City, or should I say New Jersey, at East Rutherford in the Meadowlands at MetLife Stadium with the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the New York Giants. Monday Night Football, the Buffalo Bills will square off against the New York Jets. So for the Jets, tough win across, for the Jets, tough loss across the pond last week to the Minnesota Vikings. Aaron Rodgers and company, they had a chance to win the game. His pass was intercepted. That was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back to what was going to happen in the upcoming days. Woody Johnson making the decision to fire head coach Robert Saleh. So in comes the interim head coach, Jeff Ulbrich, who is the team's defensive coordinator. So hopefully this could be the sign of things moving forward for the Jets, and specifically on the offensive side. As for the Buffalo Bills, tough loss over the Houston Texans last week. Josh Allen and company, they're looking to avenge that loss as they make their way to the Meadowlands in New Jersey and East Rutherford to take on the New York Jets on Monday night. And also significance, What's significant about this game is that the Bills and the Jets, they have an opportunity. This team has a chance. Whichever team wins will be first place in the AFC East. So it's very early in the year, but hey, the division hasn't been good so far this year. Miami hasn't been good. New England hasn't been good this year. So this is a chance for either one of these teams to show up and show out in the bright lights of New York City. Well, more like New Jersey, East Rutherford, just across the Hudson River. But it should be a fun one on Monday night between the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets. All right, now it's time for my game of the week. My game of the week is going to be the Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets. When the schedules came out last year, and they said that the Monday night opener would be the Buffalo Bills going up against the New York Jets at MetLife Stadium. And with Aaron Rodgers and his debut as the Jets quarterback, I was extremely pumped and extremely excited about this. Well, the Jets' opening drive on offense, you know how that turned out, right? After a few plays, Rodgers tears the Achilles. We know how that turned out. Done for the year. The wait over a year for this game to happen, and now we're going to get it yet again. This time, there's a lot of moving parts in this whole game. Number one, Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback for the New York Jets. That much is true. Number two, Robert Saleh is no longer the head coach. Jeff Ulbrich, the defensive coordinator, is the interim head coach. Also, there's more weapons, not only on the offensive line, but also with the wide receivers as well. For Buffalo, there's a lot of moving parts as well. No Stephon Diggs, and a lot of weapons are missed on the offensive side. But you still have Josh Allen, and you also have James Cook as giving you the running game as well. So the lights are bright. They're going to be big in the shadows of New York City and East Rutherford, New Jersey. There's so many moving parts in this game. This is a chance for, if Buffalo has a chance to prove that we've put that loss against Houston behind us. This is a chance for Josh Allen to put the team on his back and to move forward, not just in the AFC, but in the NFL. For Aaron Rodgers, this is not just about legacy, but this is the window of opportunity that him and the New York Jets have. Especially now that their former head coach is gone, this is an opportunity that this falls on him. Aaron has got to deliver the goods. And Monday night, this is an opportunity for him to get retribution for not only what happened in week one last year, but also more importantly to prove to the naysayers and the doubters that, you know what, there may be a head coaching change, but guess what? I've still got it, and then some. I think it's going to come down to the quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers. The Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets, my game of the week. All right, before we get on out of here, I want to give you my picks on who I think will win Week 6's most important games. Thursday Night Football, the San Francisco 49ers versus the Seattle Seahawks. I like the 49ers to win. The Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Chicago Bears. I like the Bears to win. The Washington Commanders against the Baltimore Ravens. I think this is going to be a close game, but I like Washington to win. The Arizona Cardinals versus the Green Bay Packers. I like Green Bay to win. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the New Orleans Saints. Tough game, but I like the Buccaneers to win. The Detroit Lions go up against the Dallas Cowboys. I like Detroit to win. Sunday Night Football, the Cincinnati Bengals going up against the New York Giants. I like Cincinnati to win. Monday Night Football, the Buffalo Bills going up against the New York Jets. This is going to be a close game, but I think Aaron Rodgers and company, they'll silence the critics. And in a close game, I like the New York Jets to win. So again, my picks are San Francisco, Chicago, Washington, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Detroit, Cincinnati, and New York Jets. And that's it. And that's going to do it for another exciting edition of the program. Again, thank you so much for tuning in, as always, and keeping you informed of what's going on in and around the National Football League. Till next time, everybody, I'm Ed Robinson saying so long, you take care, and enjoy the games.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.